Everyone. In this presentation, we will look at enterprise architecture in healthcare systems. To begin with, what is enterprise architecture? Enterprise architecture is a way to understand how an organization works. Enterprise architecture's aim is to provide a map of information assets and business processes, as well as a series of guiding principles that serve as a catalyst for continuing dialogue about business strategy and how it can be articulated through information technology. Now that we know what an EA is, let's look at the term e-health. E-health, also known as electronic health, is basically a practice that is supported by communication and processes electrically. It is very secure and even cost efficient when it is used in a field like health, and because of the use of the latest technology, which provides great results and fulfills the needs of their customers very easily. This e-health architecture model is a roadmap for an e-health architecture model based on healthcare capacity as defined by ISO TR 14369. We now understand what an enterprise architecture and e-health are. Let's take a look at some of the basic terms that are used in e-health, such as EHR and EMR. EHR, electronic health records, and EMR, electronic medical records, help to gather information about patients and their information in a digital format. Another term, CDSS, known as Clinical Decision Support System, helps professionals in healthcare to take important decisions. The final term, known as telemedicine, is generally a treatment and diagnosis of a patient from a distance. Healthcare has several interventions. By utilizing that, they gain maximum advantage and can provide the best services to patients. In this slide, several interventions are addressed. Electronic health, such as using e-health to provide health information to patients, and health professionals using telecommunication very easily and efficiently. Another intervention is that utilizing e-commerce and information technology helps to enhance the services of public health with the help of training and education of workers. And lastly, it provides the best practices of e-business and e-commerce in the system of health management. The use of health comes in handy in several ways, but it is essential to have the proper knowledge about e-health and why it needs to be considered in the healthcare field. The reason why e-health needs to be considered is that in several middle-income and low-income countries, the system of healthcare faces difficulties such as shortage of workforce, weak governance, and economic and graphical barriers in order to provide good delivery services to those who actually need it. Another reason is that electronics provide some potential solutions to these challenges by giving creative ideas. Finally, the accounts of middle and low-income countries are constantly spreading the use of subscriptions of mobile, cellular, and internet worldwide, so that every individual must have the right to benefit from these services. It also creates a lot of opportunities for technology, and it's a very budgeting service that becomes possible with the use of ICT. One of the main reasons that makes e-health more preferable is its applications. It has a variety of applications that have become possible due to the use of advanced technology, such as information technology and information systems that provide the system's users with a plethora of useful options that make the tasks of working healthcare professionals easier. This system comes with an application that helps to gather the information of the patient and the records of their health in a digital format. As a result, it can be accessed from anywhere with authorized access. The second one is the advanced management and storage facility of the system. Earlier, the data was stored manually, which makes this task more hectic and needs lots of workers. But because of this technology, data is getting stored very easily and quickly, and because of this advanced management style, any data can be retrieved easily. The third application is that with the help of this system, data analysis becomes even easier, that even a non-technical person can perform tasks. This system comes with certain tools that help to create reports, recognize the issues and trends, and track the progress of a patient's health just by a single click. And fourthly, the most important application is that it improves the quality of data that incorporates data geocoding, standardization, profiling, monitoring, and matching. The use of electronic health brings many advantages and provides benefits to both patients and healthcare, but every technology has its limitations and certain measures that need to be followed. The application of the healthcare system needs proper knowledge to handle, though it has several applications built into it, which makes it very usable, but also a bit complex. During the time of development, the cost part cannot be compromised because it will affect the system and will not be able to reach its best state. One of the most important aspects is the internet, because the entire application will run with the help of a proper network connection. So in order to prevent any issues related to connectivity, the internet access by the application must be reduced so that the application can run even at a low connectivity and bandwidth. The ecology of the healthcare information system in low and middle income countries highlights the widespread dissatisfaction among both users and producers of health information, complex and fragmented by disease-focused programs and donors, an epidemic of indicators and burdensome demands on health personnel, and poor quality data, lack of common standards, data inconsistencies and inefficiencies, difficult to analyze and synthesize. This slide describes the detailed knowledge about the architecture of an enterprise and its types. For any organization, its architecture is very important because it is said to be the technical foundation of a perfect information technology strategy. It is basically a diagram that states the different activities and construction of the associations. The key motive of the architecture of an enterprise is to decide what should be the best solutions that will make the associations fulfill their present and future goals. The architecture of an enterprise has 4 different kinds of designs, such as business architecture, technology architecture, information and data architecture, and application architecture. On the next slide, we will see the structure of EA.
Thank you, Kiran. The next slide, slide 11, as we come to know what exactly an enterprise architecture is, but knowing that is not enough. The slide will present the need of architecture of an enterprise in several ways. Firstly, the help of design. It helps an individual to have a system thinking view, which will later be combined with a strategy and vision. Systems, information, different domains of the technology, and the architecture of the business to make a successful framework with less issues and greater profit and productivity. Secondly, it provides the idea of how much investment is needed for what part of the business. As a result, costs be utilized very efficiently. Before the development phase starts, it provides blueprint to its stakeholders to confirm and if any changes are required, then proceeding accordingly. Thirdly, with the help of architectural design, the developers of the system can now estimate their work and time and about the exact requirement. So next slide 12, the various business models are depicted in this diagram, where the first model business architecture consists of business direction, stakeholders, function, and information. The second model information architecture consists of data model, information flows, and databases. And the third model application architecture consists of applications and the integration. The model information architecture has principles such as identification of a single customer, recognition of customer contact points, data accessible across the business, timely information, data reuse, use of single data master, data security, common data, and vocabulary definitions, and centralized analytical data repositioning. Next slide. Until now, we can discuss enterprise architecture and its aspects, but now let us talk about the architecture of health information system. The HIS architecture, which is short for Health Information System Architecture, is able to leverage and align the investments in order to develop better and stronger integrated HIS that will support the services of local and policy health management, and finally make the systems of health stronger. It is based on a cognizant arrangement of best practices for advancing information in cooperation and fostering partner gatherings to cooperatively expand on regular segments and the typical engineering inside the HIS. It also distinguishes and facilitates interoperability between the segments. Next slides. An enterprise architecture has 6 elements approaches that aid in analysis and design of successful enterprise architecture. They are architectural governance, which is your oversight board. This individual or group builds up the arrangement and guarantees that the remainder of the group stays on target. This individual guarantees that the objectives set by the group lined up with the general objectives of the organization and fit inside the current IT foundation. The architectural framework, the framework of an architectural structure is to establishment of which the following 4 areas are fabricated. It builds on the extent of the venture, like the meaning of done in the agile technique, just as the system and mechanical pieces are important. There are few structures that function admirable for various organizations and associations. A portion of these courses incorporate TOGAF, TEF, and ZECMEN. Implementation methodology. The system derives the procedures and extension from the structure and the diagrams that are required to complete the project. This can change between the inside association. A few groups may decide to utilize agile runs for their approach, while others will use Kanban, Lean, or other techniques. Anyway you picked, you should choose this forthright and guarantee everybody is in the same spot. Documentation artifacts. These are your expectations. How might you and your group archive your system plans and work processes? If different individuals should chip away at these archives and approach it at the same way, you should utilize Google Docs and Sheets. In the event that just a single individual will make a record, at the point shared Excel will work. You may decide to utilize an information base on other online programming. Architectural repository. You store holes, your devices and cycles for everybody to get to. The excellence of a system is that it turns into the design that holds up the remainder of your program. Your apparatuses and cycles do not become part of the system. They are merely used to aid the outline. Various groups may decide to use unusual apparatuses in comparison to others. In any case, they would be able to follow a similar system to guarantee that everybody closes the opportune spot, which are objectives and goals set up to the start. Related best practices. Here, your best procedures are your standard working methodology and are illustrated initially before you start the task. This should be straightforward to everybody in the group realizes what is anticipated from them. These 6 components will permit you to construct the outline that your group will follow to achieve your goals. As EA, you guarantee that your group is building the perfect thing at the perfect opportunity to achieve your business objectives. The next 3 slides. In these slides, some of the most common and widely used frameworks for architecture of enterprise have been highlighted. TOGAF, the Open Group Architectural Framework, is the most utilized structure for big business engineering today that gives a way to deal with planning, arranging, actualization, administering, and undertaking data innovation design. TODEF, the Department of Defense Architectural Framework, is the design structure for the United States Department of Defense that gives a representation framework to the explicit partners' interest through perspective coordinated by different perspective. The ZECMEN framework is a venture philosophy and is a major construction for enterprise architecture, which gives a formal and organized method of survey and characterizing and undertaking. Last slide, summary and conclusion. To conclude, the job of an enterprise architecture is to empower the association to creative and react quickly to changing client conduct. The undertaking draftsman holds the drawn out business vision of association and is liable for excursion needs to take to arrive at objective stage. E-health will improve the nature of medical care by medical service information open and accessible at the point of need, but a variety of obstacles may impede its effective use. That's the end of our presentation. Thank you.